and welcome to another herping video, and the first herping video in Malaysia. Now, I'm not going to give any locations away, but to a lot of people it's pretty clear where I am. And I am going for things like the blue coral snake, redheaded krait, Averphis convictus, the Indo-Malayan mountain pitviper, what else, Caliophis intestinalis, the striped coral snake. There's some amazing species here. It's a beautiful place and it's somewhere I have always wanted to come herping. So without any more waffle, I'm just going to say let's get into it, and hopefully you enjoy the video. I'll try and bring you along and see what we can find.
The herping in this area consists of both night walking trails and roadside banks, and road cruising in vehicles to find snakes crossing the tarmac. A lot of this video is filmed solo herping in a rental car I had, but I also met up with and herped with a few knowledgeable herpers in this area, Stephen, Wainson and Abe, who have much more experience in this area and were very helpful to me throughout my visit. Also, if anyone fancies some guiding herping in this area, both Wainson and Stephen run guiding services, and I'd be happy to recommend and give their details to anyone who may be interested in a trip. But for now, let's get into the first night.
No sooner have I met up with Stephen and we're straight on the first Thai peninsula pitviper, Trimeresurusfucatus sabahi, Fucatus/sabahi you would call this one. And I think these are probably going to be the most common snake encountered here. We've got a juvenile here, we've got some other guys actually down there photographing an adult. So the night has started pretty good straight away.
I'd quickly find out these vipers were in fact the most abundant snake in the area, and so I've only included a fraction of the ones encountered in this video. They remained active throughout quite changeable conditions during my visit, and there wasn't a single night we failed to add this species to our finds.
Well, I'm not doing too much filming or photos at the moment because we are in quite a big group, but just got a third siamesepitviper, Trimeresurusfucatus sabahi, and it's a third female. All three have been females so far.
I then went for a cruise with Wainson and Abe, which was mainly fruitless, but after a while we spotted the first road cruise snake of the night.
Just spotted on the side of the road this little Boiga trapezii. Well, it's not that little actually, to be fair. This is common name is the white spotted cat snake, member of the Boiga genus, cat snake genus. And this is prime example of where they just sleep, sat arboreally. And this is the first one I've ever found, so that is great. I'm going to get some shots now, and then we'll leave it be.
White-spotted cat snakes are one of the smaller, more slender cat snake species found in Malaysia. They feed mainly on frogs and geckos, which they subdue using a venom from their rear fang, which is positioned just under the eye of the snake. They chew the prey continuously until the venom has subdued it enough to be swallowed easily down.
Just crossing the road, we've got another Astanodipsis vertebralis. I can tell that this is vertebralis, not lascalenensis, because of that dorsal keel line of yellow scales, and also they're not as I believe lascalenensis is not as brightly marked as this. You'll see it's got quite a light venter. I'm told that lascalenensis is pretty much just uniform dark coloured, so we're going to go ahead and let this one be. Another snake just crossing the road, and unsurprisingly it is Trimeresurusfucatus sabahi, the Siamese pitviper, and this one's a male, and you can tell it's a male by those red and white scales where the dorsal rows meet the ventrals. But these are by far the most common snake here, so we're just going to let this one cruise off. Look at that, that's a really cool tail as well. Look at the red on that tail, it's really vibrant. And this is only 50, 100 metres from that slug snake, so the cruising is going well. It'd be just nice to get some other species because we've seen these two so far. Look at what we've got on the road here, guys. This is a beautiful lycodon species, Lycodon butleri. That's a really cool find. Just right in the middle of the road. This has proven a really hot cruise, I have to say. I wish I had more petrol in the car. Really beautiful rear end on the snake there. Dots and stripes. What a great find. He's balled up, so it gives us a chance to have a little look at it. Obviously, again, mimicking kraits somewhat. You could be forgiven for mistaking that for a krait, but we can tell for a number of reasons that this is not a krait. And actually, that is the nicest lycodon I think I've ever seen. I think this will beat the foot singensis that I saw in Vietnam. Yeah, that's actually a really nice snake. I'm going to take some pictures of this now. Just one last clip of this guy before I let him cruise off the road, just because we might not get another one. And this juvenile is actually a really nice pattern one, so best to savour it. 2 species of lycodon you get here. This one, butler eye, butler's wolfsnake, and albofuscus, which I think is called a dusky wolfsnake. I don't believe there's any more species here. There might be another one that I'm forgetting, but this is definitely the nicest one. Albofuscus is pretty much just plain black, so that's a nice find.
These photos load onto YouTube really grainy for some reason, but it hopefully shows this snake a little better, as the markings on it really did surprise me, and I appreciate the footage wasn't the best in the rain.
I've just seen a binturong, guys. He's just got into those. I didn't quite get my phone out in time. Wondering if you can just hear him still going off into those bushes there. It just came out from this bend in front of me. I saw the eye shine. They're bigger than you expect as well. They do call them bear cats. You forget how big they are. They're not like civets. It just came, wandered up in front of the car, crossed over on this bend. It's just headed off into there. Oh, I wish I'd got. I'm filming now, thinking maybe it'll re-emerge, but of course it's not going to. But yeah, sorry I couldn't film it, but that was really cool. Binturong, they're really actually quite cool animals. They smell of popcorn as well. That's the only binturong fact I know for you. But yeah, anyway, back to the reptiles. Alright, third snake of the night. These are not easy to see on the road, believe me. What I've got there is Calamaria schlegeli, the pink-headed reed snake, and you only just spot them when the car is right on top of them, believe me. I'm just going to scoot them off the road and leave them be. Try and get a little bit of better footage, but they're not the easiest snakes to work with or photograph these. Let's leave them be.
It got really late by the time I returned from the first night, and so I forgot to do an outro, but that was the last snake of night 1. Then, after quite a rainy day, I headed back out just after dark, and the rest of this video is what I found on night 2.
It is much wetter tonight. We've had loads more rain, so I'm hoping the road cruiser might be a bit productive. And you always start to think there might be a chance of ovophis when there's been some heavy rain.
The first find was this sleeping agamid, which I later identified as Drogon's false garden lizard. I always thought these agamids slept on thin branches, so they'll be alerted by the branch moving if any predator tries to make its way to them. However, the way this one was sat in the wind with its branch waving around did make me doubt that predator avoidance technique.
First snake of the final night there. And it's another male Siamese Peninsula pitviper, Trimeresurusfucatus. You're probably a little bit sick of me saying that by now. We've found quite a lot of these, they've been quite abundant, and I've took quite a lot of pictures. So I'm just going to let this one be now. We've seen plenty enough of these guys. Nice snakes though. Again a male with those red scales down the side. In the rain, little Siamese Peninsula pitviper. This is a small female, a juvenile female. We've seen plenty of these already, and my phone is getting a little bit soaked filming this. So we're just going to help this one up over this curb and carry on. Second snake on the road. Just barely spotted this one in the nick of time. Little calamari schlegeli. Pink-headed reed snake. You might go nuts if I try and just move his head into view there. There we go. And then we'll let this one squirm his way back across the road, which is what he was doing.
Again, because the footage doesn't really do these tiny snakes justice, I thought I'd include some pictures to show you them close up. There's a few species of calamaria found up in the highlands of Pahang, but by far the most common is this one, and I found a few out moving on the roads during this trip.
Also, those guys do the thing where they spike the end of their tail into you to make you think you're getting bitten, which can be a little disconcerting, but no worries. That's a bit of a python. That wasn't here on my last pass either, so that's just fallen down. That would be bad if it hit your car. I gotta try and haul it out of the way now, otherwise I can't cruise anymore. Light work, light work. The Certodactylus species here are really nice. Really clean markings and some really nice yellows on them, which seem to fade as they get older. On the bigger ones, they don't seem to be that yellow, but these little ones are really yellow. And this one, I just had to hit the brakes because I saw him squiggling across the road. Looks like we've got another Siamese peninsula pitviper here. And this is actually an adult male. This is a really nice one. Actually, this is probably the nicest one of these I've seen. And as soon as it's quite a quiet night, I might just do some photos of this one. That's a really nice snake. But we won't take up too much of his time. And then we'll let him go on his way.
This was the best picture I managed of this male, and was very close to a true in situ shot, after which I let the snake be, and as the clips show it moved off up the bank into the foliage.
There we go, guys. He sat quite nicely on the stick that he was originally on, so I've not moved him very far or anything. And now we're just going to let him cruise off. That's about, I would say that's probably a fully grown adult male. I can't see a male being much bigger than that. So that's probably the nicest of the Fucatus sabahi that I've seen here. So I actually thought, why not film this, and is it such a good example of how good climbers these snakes really are. I mean, I can see him falling down in a minute, to be fair, if he's not careful, but he's doing pretty well on that bank. They don't actually need branches or anything, you see, he's only got a tiny bit of his tail on that branch. These arboreal vipers have such good body strength. And he's managing to shimmy himself up that bank there. Nice. Alright, let's leave him be, take the lights off him, because I don't want to stress him out anymore. Check out what I've just spotted out the window of the car, guys. It's not a snake, but I have to admit, I think these are very, very cool. That is a giant atlasmoth. I'd love to show you the top side, but I've got to be careful here. I've actually been lucky enough to see these before in Manipur. Okay, it wasn't that hard of a climb. Hopefully I can show you that with some torchlight on. Look at that. What a beautiful moth. If I show a hand comparison, it's also a very large moth, and they do actually get a little bit bigger. But that is beautiful. I'm actually really glad that I found this. Not a snake, but I really can't complain at that. Glad I could show you that.
It was kind of hard to get a picture of this striking atlas moth because, as you can tell, the branch was moving a bit and I had to wedge the camera up against the bank, but this is what I managed.
And unsurprisingly, it's another male Trimeresurus. Again, Fucatus sabahi. Much more common than any other snake round here, I have to say. But that was, I almost did the full loop there with no snakes, so I'm grateful for this one. He's going on his own, doesn't need any help from me. I just looked in the drain, as I always do every time I stop, so we stopped for that calamaria. And that, I believe, is the other, well, one of the other bent-toed geckos found here, which I believe is quadrilineata or quadrivigata, something like that. I believe it's called the four-line bent-toed gecko. I think that's the one we're looking at here. It's quite nice, and it's the other one is, oh, who knows if I get this right. The other one is Certodactylus australotitiwangsaensis. I believe I've said that nearly right. And now I've got the other one, so. Now I think there's just those two species Certodactylus up here, but I might be wrong. But it's always worth checking in the drain. I was really hoping for, like, you know, a blue coral right there would have been ideal, but we'll take a gecko. We've not seen that one yet, so keeps the night alive somewhat.
We then managed to encounter one of the top targets of the night, as you're about to see. Now, in all the excitement, I didn't think to film very much of it, unfortunately, but Stephen got some phone footage which didn't send in the best quality, but I've left it in the hope it gives some sense of scale of the snake, so please forgive the lack of image quality. And also, while I try and encourage minimal handling, please appreciate that we had to move this snake a little ways off the roads anyway for its safety, and because as you can see, it's in quite a populated little section of road, and so I thought it was an opportunity to briefly show and talk about the snake.
So we've just cruised my first ever bungarusflaviceps, the redheaded krait, and what a beautiful snake it is. I'm not sure how well it's coming out in this light, but it's a fantastic snake. This is probably the snake here I would second most like to see after Calliophrys bivigatus, which this snake resembles. This species inhabits forests around hills and mountains. I'm just going to retell that. It shows an affinity to water. It doesn't just eat snakes. This species is known to feed on rodents, amphibians, eggs of birds and reptiles also. But yeah, this is fantastic. Let's not push our luck anymore with this snake because we don't want to stress it out too much, but that is a fantastic way to start the night.
While some others in the group were photographing the snake, I managed to take these quick clips and photos. Some accounts describe red-headed kraits as occupying lowland forests, but this one was found way over 1,000 metres of elevation. These elapids are often found actively hunting for prey after wet weather, which is exactly how this one was found, and I'll eternally be grateful for Stephen Wong's eyes for spotting this one. This was the first individual I'd seen, and I was blown away by the contrasting morphology of this snake, and I'd go so far as to say it's my favourite snake I've found throughout the whole Southeast Asia leg of this trip.
Cruising home, guys. That was a fantastic night. You know it's a good night when, what time is it? It's nearly 4 AM. It'll be 4 AM by the time we're getting home. That's always a sign that it's turned into quite a good night, because if you're not finding anything, I tend to have got bored by then. But we've put the time in and we've had the results tonight. Got to savour them when they come. Well, I forgot to do an outro last night, so I'll do it now. Unfortunately, it's time to leave this beautiful place, which is breaking my heart a little bit. I am a little bit disappointed that I didn't get a blue coral. This was probably my best chance, but never mind. We're going somewhere now with some really cool species as well. So I still mustn't complain, but it would have been nice. I think we actually had quite hard conditions these last few days, but on the second day we got that red-headed krait, which is probably my favourite snake that I've ever seen. So yeah, I can't really complain, can I? I'm doing well right now. You can tell I'm in herping mode. I've gone a bit feral. But anyway, no more waffle. Thank you very much if you've watched this far. I appreciate that. And I will hopefully see you in the next one.